what I'm going to talk about is about the future, and the future is certainly going to be better. So that is what it's all about. I look back on my life and my career, and certainly the time that I spent here at Varsity was absolutely pivotal in terms of the person that I became, good and bad. And the most meaningful part of that was actually playing rugby. So it's in no way what I did for rugby is what rugby did for me. John's already mentioned the fact that we can on occasions get 15 of maybe 25 or 30 guys that I used to play with out for lunch, which becomes a rather late afternoon. And as part of that, it reinforces in you just how much that meant. And I followed varsity rugby, therefore, from a great distance. But clearly, with the changing of the nature of rugby to a professional game, all the old hierarchies got totally changed, and therefore, varsity rugby became something that didn't quite have the broad appeal because of the different stratification and the professionalism had taken place. But I still followed it. I still stayed in touch. And John is right. The Varsity Cup has totally changed that. It's also changed, I think, and will change the relationship within the professional game. I know Francois Pinard's whole theory is that to some degree, and it's not an exact model, the US model is a valid one in terms of bringing people in to the universities and using that upgrading of the sport as a feeder into the professional game itself. Now, what's that do for the university and for academics in general? There is no question, and this is my US bias because I've spent a lot of time in the US, but that the constituency that I represent, the people who played sport and were involved in sport for the university, tend to have a closer attachment and continue that attachment over the years. And therefore, as a fundraising mechanism for the university as a whole, not for sport, but for university as a whole, it's an excellent way to continue the bonding of the individual after they leave university to the university, and therefore to continue to be involved, and particularly to be involved in a financial manner. So whilst my own specific donation that I'm going to talk about tonight is directed very specifically to UCT Rugby and to UCT Sport, the broader idea is that this actually is something which is going to improve the pool of people who can support the university in terms of all of the initiatives they have going forward, which they are unable to fund from their normal sources. So it's a broader remit than just rugby. But let me talk about rugby then, one last piece about rugby. This is the old practice field. Didn't blow too much today, but I've played with that damn wind blowing, and it's not ideal. Also, we saw it today, the game now today's game attracts a lot more people than we can accommodate. I think we accommodate something like 5,000, and the estimate is that we could have done up to about 15. So it occurred to me that whilst there are other needs with regard to creating a foundation for the club and ongoing commitments of expenditure for the rugby club, that somehow we had to break the nexus. Somehow we had to be able to stand up to the Kutzenbergs of this world, the Martys, and the other universities have got those facilities, because over time, in order to get players attracted to UCT, you're going to have the facilities. Otherwise, they're going to insidiously remove players by saying little things like, why do you want to learn rugby kicking into the wind all the time? And that is then going to put us into maybe a very difficult and negative spiral. So to break that nexus, I believe, and I think we've got a really strong commonality with the rugby club and with Max. Max is going to speak, I hope, in a minute. We are going to endeavour to raise the funds to build a stadium within the range of the campus, with no particular site identified at this stage, but the Varsity Cup rules actually dictate that, so that that intimacy of being with the students and being with the campus be maintained, but also we can really have the support properly accommodated and the game played on a proper field with proper lights, so as we get into the final we don't have to go and play at Kutsenberg. So that's really, in a nutshell, how I came to be here tonight, doing what I'm here tonight to do tonight, and that is to kick off a fundraising campaign to build a stadium which will host varsity rugby and also be able to host other sports, although it will be a proportioned field for rugby, so it'll be the likes of soccer, etc. And in order to kick that off and to get other people then involved, I have already made, and I'll do it symbolically now, a donation of $1 million, it'll be 7 million rand, to get that whole thing going. Come here, Max. So it says to the UCT Rugby Football Club, $1 million. Let's go get the stadium.
Every day you get a check like that in your hand. So my first task is to build on that excitement, to say thank you to Neville. Neville has been, as many of you know, many of you are part of the Rugby Club, part of the 200 Club. You've been supporting the club over many years through annual donations, and Neville has been there with you all along. And some years ago when I took office, we started talking, and Neville said he wanted to do something big for the university. He was stepping down as chair, and first as CEO and then as chair of Coca-Cola, and it was something he wanted to do in his personal capacity. And we talked about a whole lot of options, and it was always clear that this was his passion. This was what was going to, this was what had been central to his own identity and formative years at UCT. It had informed his development. I listened once to a talk he gave to our alumni on how rugby had influenced, rugby and leadership, I think he was talking about, and how his experience in UCT and in the rugby club had created the kind of leadership skills in him that had served him so well. And so this was the obvious project. But the question was this an important priority for us, for UCT? Because we do sometimes have donors who have priorities, but actually they've got to be well aligned. And it was absolutely fortuitous that this coincided with the institution of the Varsity Cup, but not just with the introduction of the Varsity Cup, with UCT's, IKE's remarkable, and some would say unbelievable, performance in the tournament. And in the first year, you may remember, we got to the finals and we were robbed in injury time of a victory. And in the last year, we were in the finals again. Didn't do quite so well, but we did well. I mean, we have a team, we have a coach, we have a management group that is able to take ordinary folk, ordinary players who want to be at UCT, who are intellectually strong, academically strong, who make their choice of university not because it's where we invest 20 million a year in rugby, which is what some of our competitors do, but because they want to be at a leading academic university. And then we take these people who are not nerds, but they've got their priorities, and with the help of brilliant coaches, with the help of psychologists, with the help of the Sports Science Institute, through Tim Noakes and his team, with the help of the support of the alumni, we turn them into winners that compete with the best. And let's hope this year they turn out to be the best. But what Varsity Cup did was not just highlight the talent, it suddenly revealed to us a number of other things. First interesting thing was that Varsity Cup was designed for television. And we realized that we couldn't play on this field because we don't have television rights. Now the first year, we got away with it. The second year we got away with it because we played at 5 o'clock every game. But what became clear through the market research was that people watch at 7 o'clock, between 6 and 8 in fact. And so Varsity Cup, as you know, has moved, and it's now half the games are at 7. And if we want to be playing in that game, we have to play at 7, and we have to have a field that can have TV lights. And this field can't do that because, for various reasons, but particularly the heritage community will not allow us to put tall lights here that have the power to illuminate a field for television. So TV has in a way changed our priorities if we wanted to understand that. The second thing that TV did is it brings sponsorship. We've had sponsorship over the years and the club has worked hard to get it, but frankly it's piddling sponsorship. TV changes the game completely, and if you want to be getting sponsorship for scholarships, for coaches, for excellence, then you need to be able to play in front of the camera lights. So that was a key factor, and one of the reasons why I think sports, this Varsity Cup has taken off, why the club is doing better, and as you probably know, there is a plan to expand it to other sporting codes as well. Hopefully 3 or 4 more codes. Hopefully UCT will be good enough to be in that top 8 in some of those codes too. One of them will certainly be soccer, and it's anticipated that the new sports facility will be able to service Varsity Cup soccer as well as Varsity Cup rugby, and so becomes a doubly valuable facility. And then the third thing that Varsity Cup showed us was that there is huge marketing value in sport for the university. We've always branded ourselves as an intellectual university. We also sometimes brand ourselves with the mountain, with Devil's Peak, and we attract people for all sorts of reasons, but we have never really pushed ourselves as a sporting university that this is where top sports people should come. But after that first Varsity Cup, it was amazing. Firstly, the whole country had been watching UCT, and they were looking at UCT in a different way as a result of our performance. And the top school kids who from across the country were now starting to see UCT as a place that they could come and fulfill their sporting goals as well. And that's fantastic, because we do want to be a university that educates all-rounders. We want to have, and we see the value of sport in the development of students and future leaders. So being able to attract good sports people who are interested in that, who are passionate to the university, is something that Varsity Cup has helped us to do. And in fact, the rugby club, some of you will know, has been short of money and needed to get money out of my back pocket in order to survive in the costs of participating in Varsity Cup. And we've been able to do that basically by raiding the marketing budget, because the marketing value we get out of this game, and this is equivalent more than what we could buy if we were buying adverts in newspapers or buying marketing billboards, etc. So it's become clear to us that this is important for the image of the university, and that if we want to be a truly excellent university, the number one university, we should be aspiring to excellence, not just in the academic field, not just in the exams, not just in the accountancy board exams or in the professions, but that we should be seeking excellence in our facilities and certainly on the sports field. And we can do that with renewed confidence, because we've proved that we've created a track record in recent times. Of course, that's not news for many of you who played in the 50s, 60s, when we had that sort of track record and reputation. So when Neville said to me, this is what I'd like to do, does it match your priorities, is it something that makes sense? It made perfect sense. It made perfect sense for us to establish a top-class facility where we could accommodate lots of spectators, where we could have a good quality field, because of course this field is not just the wind, but as many of you know, it's waterlogged for half the year. If we have the two oceans, at the end of the two oceans, it's about 2 or 3 weeks for the field to recover. Can't play. So it's a problematic field. It's the wind, it's the lights, it's the audience and the stadium, and it's the image of what we want to project. And so it's with great delight that we accept this donation, that we launch the campaign to raise funds for a stadium. Having this seed money gives us the confidence to go out seriously, to invest money in architects and designers, to invest money in city planners, to identify the right spot or options. And I urge you, as people who also are in love with the rugby club, to go out, to talk to friends, and to help us raise the money we need. We need more than double what Neville is giving us. I think our first target, the planning we would like to do, is at least around 20 million. I think we would aim for that, ideally more. What we'd like to do is probably 50 million. But our first phase, we can do this in phases, and our first phase would be more modest, but we've still got a lot to raise. And so we would plead with you to follow this example, to join the team and make this a team effort and help us get the stadium up and running, hopefully for Varsity Cup 2013. I don't think we'll have it for 2012, but I think our aim is to have it ready and functional for 2013. Thank you again, and thank you all very much for coming. And 3 cheers for Neville. Let's toast to his donation. To Neville. To Neville and the UCT Rugby Club.